Okay, well, let's kick things off. And hello, welcome everyone to Body Rocket's first CrowdCube webinar. We are fortunate enough to have some very accomplished guests with us. We have Kristian Blummenfelt and Gustav Iden joining us from their training camp in France. I don't think you guys need a whole lot of introduction, but I'll give you a short one. So Kristian is the Ironman world champion and Olympic champion. The list can go on from there, but we'll keep it to the more recent things. Gustav is the Ironman 70.3 world champion and also the recent winner of the Challenge Family Championship. And again, the list could go on from there, so we'll keep it to just the recent ones. And also we have Olaf Alexander Vu, who is a coach to both of you, as well as coach to a range of sports, including sailing. As you can see, he's engaged with a sail at the moment. And someone who's really been looked at as a luminary in coaching right now for his very different and very analytical approach. So looking forward to talking to all you guys. My name is Eric Degolier. I am the founder and inventor of Body Rocket. For those of you who don't know what we do, Body Rocket is the world's first direct force drag measurement aerometer. And that means that we use the same technology that is used in a wind tunnel to measure aerodynamic force, allowing for real-time, scientifically verifiable aerodynamic measurement. So we started the company 4 years ago with a concept and a little bit of funding. 2 years ago, we approved our lab prototype against wind tunnel measurements and set to bring that tech out onto the road, which is what we've done this year. And that has resulted in our first partnership, which is with Kristian, Gustav, and Olaf. So we'll be helping them prepare to defend their Ironman championships later this year and take on even bigger challenges next year, hopefully. Although those are quite big challenges already. So that's what we're here to talk about today. Olaf can only join us for the first 15 minutes, so we're going to jump right in with Olaf and talk to some technical questions, and then work our way back to Kristian and Gustav on how they put those methods to practice. But first, welcome guys, and thank you for joining. Oh, I'm not sure if I can hear you.
You can hear me. Thank you very much.
I can hear you. I'm not. I saw Kristian move his lips, and I didn't hear anything though. Can I hear you guys?
Oh yeah.
Great. Okay. Cool. So we're all here. Great. So Olaf, you reached out to us last year, and so just wanted to ask you, how did you find out about us, and what caught your attention?
Yeah, let me know if it's a little bit too much noise. As you mentioned initially, Eric, with the sailors at the moment. Yeah, the reason why I reached out to you last year was because I continuously monitor what's happening on the market. For aerodynamics, most of the energy that you put into the pedals are lost through pure aerodynamic drag, and we want to minimize that as much as possible. But then there are also a few other factors that we also can do when we have control over the aerodynamics. And one of the things I've been doing for the last 10 years, I've been working with aerospace and different sensor systems, everything from most of the devices that are available on the market. But the problem with them is that they don't solve the problem very well. They just try to compensate for a lack of information that we don't have when we only have speed and a power meter. So the reason why I actually got very interested about your system is because it solves these issues quite differently. And exactly like you mentioned also, it does it directly instead of trying to estimate it indirectly using a form of virtual elevation.
Great. Okay. Thank you. Yes, it fits in line very much with why we built the product. As a founder, I started out and saw a lot of what you said there as well. And I said, I think this needs some direct measurement. My background is in the power meter industry, and I sort of watched these sort of devices in power meters as well. And as we know, direct force is really the only way people are measuring power, and we believe the same thing is true for aerodynamics. So if I can carry on in that vein, Olaf. Why not just measure in the wind tunnel? Why is it important that you having your athletes measuring aerodynamic drag out in the real world?
So one of the things that we have learned, both the cheap and the expensive way, is that things changes. Things are not static, meaning that there's a difference between doing something when you're fresh and doing something very short, which you typically do in a wind tunnel. You sit in a position for maybe maximum 5 minutes, and then you make a change, and so on. And the difference between doing a race where you are sitting in an aerodynamic position for 2 to 4 hours, depending on whether it's half Ironman or full Ironman, and for some athletes even longer. And what is sustainable over 5 minutes or even 10 minutes or even 15 minutes is not necessarily sustainable over a couple of hours. That's one. And then the second thing is also that in the wind tunnel, it's very easy because you have a lot of feedback tools. You have like a camera showing that you are nailing the same position that you have in the previous run and so on. But in reality, if you ask an athlete to find the ideal position on the bike, for example, in a wind tunnel or in a velodrome where you're doing short bursts, take the athlete and then you ask him to go back on the bike again, it's not the same position. That's one. Secondly, I think that in order to learn this, you need to guide you continuously over not only short periods, but over longer periods where you can train yourself into position and really, nail the difference between the numbers and the feeling. And that is not also something that is done when you are typically into a wind tunnel and what you are doing is trying to optimize or making changes in order to find ideal setup. What you really want to do out in the real world is that you want to find that position, but you also want to feel that position as well. And again, the only way to feel something is that you need to have biofeedback. And that's exactly what the body rocket system does. It enables us to give accurate biofeedback to the athletes on their position and how they are. And they can actually practice themselves out by changing the position and other things and feeling how it feels and see whether actually it's slower or better. And sometimes you don't focus on it all, but then you throw on a sight on it, and you suddenly see that, oh, I'm a little bit off now. I have to remind myself that I have to be aero, and that's something you can't do out in the field. You need to have that feedback that's something you can't have in the wind tunnel. That's something you can have in the wind tunnel, but haven't been available in the field. But with a system like this, we can also have access to that in the field as well.
Yeah. Okay, thanks. Yeah, definitely on board with that. And I think we like to look at it and say, aerodynamics is not an event, it's a journey. And I think that's a lot of what you're saying is you can't just go in and have sort of a single point event and assume that your aerodynamics is complete. I just want to take a moment to welcome everyone to ask questions. We're going to be talking for about 20 minutes or so, and then we'll open up to questions, but feel free to start asking questions right away. I see people mentioned that we're having some audio troubles. Apologize for that. We do have a bit of a poor connection with OLAP right now, and we're going to have to just sort of soldier through that. Hopefully, hopefully that stabilizes, but not much we have control over there. You
have two very good athletes coming after me that will be able to answer this question equally good as me.
Yes. Well, I actually wanted to go to Kristian here because Kristian, we experienced that with you. We met you in the wind tunnel in Eindhoven in March. And yet your position was drastically different when we saw you at St. George. Was that some of the things that Olaf was talking about in terms of being able to transfer what the learnings in the wind tunnel onto the real world?
Yeah, I would say that has been kind of my struggle this season. Like even now, I feel I haven't found the position I would like to ride in Hawaii in few months time, because like when you go to the wind tunnel you get the data but you don't get the feeling of how stable it is, for example in crosswind, and how comfortable you are with the different muscles and activating the hamstring versus the quads, etc. So I went in first 3 days in January, felt like I was getting some good numbers, but I didn't get the same feeling out on the road. And then went in again after a quite poor performance in Dubai in my first race, where I really felt like that, okay, I need to do something with my position again because I'm too much forward, in a position using too much quads, and the knees was hurting quite a bit.
Oh.
So then I went backwards again, journey, you can call it. And also as I came to St. George, after practicing the position basically in wind tunnel and on the turbo, I got a bit shocked when I came there to the crosswind and didn't feel confident at all.
Yeah.
Kind of too much tilted up. So I think we were kind of ending up with looking too much on just the numbers from the wind tunnel rather than looking at the real data out in the field. And I think that this is all something that can give us a better understanding on not just how I can get as low CDA as possible, but also how it impacts like the metabolic system and how sustainable it is, and also how comfortable I would be in the position in terms of muscle use before the run, etc. So
a lot of things to balance there.
It's been a long process, but also it's tricky to find the TT position within a year and a half or 6 months, because we haven't been working much on the TT bike. It's been mainly on the road bike towards Tokyo last year. So we had maybe 6-7 months trying to dial in and kind of optimize the position. But I feel it's been a learning process, but I haven't been able to get there yet. So I'm really looking forward to get the system out on the road in a few weeks' time.
Yeah, great. Looking forward to it as well. That leads into, I think, a good question for Olaf. Olaf, you have a much bigger focus on energy systems than a lot of coaches. And can you want to talk about what you're looking for there, and maybe how aerodynamics and body rocket fits into that? Uh-oh.
No, that's fine. It might be a little bit more noise now because we are going up to the sea here. Let's. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, it's a little choppy, but go ahead.
Okay, let's try. So the thing is that it's not only about aerodynamics. It's like Kristian says, it's a balance between a lot of things. And in order to balance all these things, we cannot only focus on just having a low CDA. What we need to strike is the best balance between a good CDA or good aerodynamics and also something that is sustainable, metabolic also. So for that, also again, we need to be able to measure for a much longer time again when you're out of the window.
Oh yeah.
Sorry.
I think we're losing you, Olaf. Should we say goodbye and switch over and finish off with Kristian and Gustav?
Yeah, I think they can answer it quite well. So I think that's better. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, guys. Yeah.
That's okay. Thanks for joining.
Yes.
Work calls. I want to say one thing first, and that is that I really look forward to working together as a team, and that's something that the way we already know that we have really good chemistry together, working quite efficiently, but also the fact that the technology you are enabling now, that's something we really look forward to use, not only for time trial, but also in the future actually for road cycling. So thank you so much, and Kristian and Gustav will handle it very well from here.
Great, thank you. We're looking forward to working with you for the same reasons. It's an incredible team.
I think as he was into about to say is like if you limit yourself with the position just to look at one number, you will maybe lose your maximum like a steady state power. So it's kind of about to find the combination there where you can still be using your lungs, your muscles correctly, and also being kind of the balance between all the three numbers, because it's not a competition about creating the highest 1 hour power. And it's also not about a competition against or about creating the lowest CDA, but it's kind of about the balance between all 3, 4, 5 different factors, or all the factors that's coming in.
And I suppose some of those factors may actually be factors on the run afterwards, because it's not just about finishing the bike quickly for you. Yeah,
correct. So there's also like you can get in a very aggressive position, but then if you are using your quads, for example, too much, then you will be cramping up. So it's about looking at the wider picture, and also as a rider, I'm maybe not that good riding by feeling. Like Gustav maybe feels the wind more, while I'm more kind of that high power guy. So I just told him like earlier today that my best uphill is if it's a tailwind, because then the aerodynamic doesn't impact as much as it is for him, because he would like to have that kind of heel climb with the headwind instead, because then he can really still be good in the aerodynamic position.
Yeah.
So it's complex.
And the way I'm riding, I'm more like moving around the bike a bit more. So I'm always kind of compensating for either aerodynamic, if it's kind of downhill and a lot of wind, or I'm maximizing my power going more upright and changing my position a bit around, depending on how the course is. So the body rocket would be perfect for me, because even though I feel like in the downhill, I go more towards the lower CDA, but also lower power compromise.
Yeah.
I'm not exactly sure, because the feeling is sometimes difficult, and moving your head lower to kind of sneak away with the wind, it doesn't always work that way. Maybe the head can be too low and the helmet doesn't really block the wind the way you think you are. So the body rocket system I'm really looking forward to it, because I think my feeling towards like aerodynamics is pretty good, but it's hard to say, and having numbers is always better than just feeling.
Yeah. I find with the power meter, I feel like I can guess my power good for about a week after I've turned my power meter off, and then the feeling kind of goes away, and I need to have it come back. So I love your philosophy, and it's certainly where we expect people to go, that your body can move around on the bike, and then so we talk about people having ACDA. But I think that is where we're going, is that the right strategy is to use your body and adopt the more aerodynamic position, for a short period of time. That may be a more critical area than just having a single position that you stay locked into for the entire ride. But we'll be able to give you that feedback and let you know if you are making the right choices, and sort of quantifying that. We certainly had an experience earlier this year where we had Alex Dowsett, one of our investors, on a bike, and we asked him to go into a sort of ridiculous aero position to do a few laps, and it did turn out to be slower than his regular position. So there certainly is, you can just getting smaller and lower doesn't guarantee that you're getting faster. It's maybe just making you more uncomfortable. So let's kind of lead me into a question I want to know for both of you. I mean, Olaf is kind of making a name for himself as having some real cutting edge techniques and technology here. But how much do you guys as athletes actually get involved and participate in that versus just sort of doing what Olaf says? Is it a bit of a feedback loop there?
Yeah, so Olaf is doing kind of like the sorting process. So he mentioned earlier that he has been through like basically all the previous aero sensors, and I got to use one of them. I think it was the Nocho, and I had it on my bike for a bit of a time. And I mean, it was fun to look at the CDA on my bike. It didn't give me too much, and then we moved forward and trying some new things. But Olaf is doing like the main sorting process. Yeah. But me and Kristian, we are deciding what to use in the day-to-day life, because we really want something that's simple to use, doesn't take too much time, and actually give us valuable things. So for me, I also use a lot of the Moxie sensor for the bike, because I feel like that gives me real value in training, and it's something that's not too busy. But then we have other things that Olaf wants us to use, but it takes a bit too much time, and then we kind of give feedback that this doesn't give enough to actually spend energy on it. So we are pretty involved in the process.
Great. Okay. Yeah. That is. I guess that's the challenge with a lot of the sensors you're using, is where we're trying to allow you to get sort of lab feedback in a real world setting, so it can just become part of your training and racing.
And also, I think it's important that all the sensors we're using is almost like we don't feel different between using them, and not like in terms of like the riding feeling on the bike, or to have like the heart monitor on. Like, it's nothing you think about. It's just like a part of your equipment. So and then it's just logging data constantly. And then the way I look at the numbers is more like as I'm going, I'm looking at the computer and looking kind of doing my kind of analyzing the session as I'm going. Mm-hmm. And then Olav as a coach is maybe looking more like in a wider picture for weeks or a month, or bigger progressions. But I think it's important that as an athlete that you are involved, because you have to be interested into this to be as involved as we are, because it takes a lot of time and energy, but also we see that it's really it's beneficial for us in terms of progress, and it's really helping us to find our weaknesses and also areas where we can improve and get stronger.
Yeah, Yeah, it's interesting that the way you frame that, because it kind of brings me back to my background is in power meters. I worked at PowerTap in the very early 2000s and sort of watched the progression of that industry. Forget if I've already said that on this podcast, but you know, that's very much our objective is you roll out the door and you zero your meter at the beginning of the ride, and after that you really don't have to think about it. But people will ask, and this is, I think, relevant to people who are listening now and thinking about investing. Does this really work? Does this become something that regular athletes use? And this is very much why we're partnering with you. The early days of power, your power meter told you power versus time. You have a lot of that, and good luck, you had to figure out the rest. Still today, I mean, back then for sure you hired a coach. Still today, you would hire a coach to help you sift through those things. But with aerodynamics, this is going to be you know, all new data that people need to figure out. And so Olaf has, of course, his whole job is to figure that out for you. And the partnership for us is to be able to take those learnings and be able to bring them into software to make Olaf's job easier, but then also make that automated in a way that it becomes useful for people everywhere. So it's nice to be in that position where we can be helping right on the cutting edge, but also then bringing that out to people that for 20 years have been watching their heroes go into wind tunnels and not really had an outlet to follow and have those benefits. So I think it's quite interesting. You guys have very different positions on a bike, and one of the things that I've noted is that people's positions on a bike often have more to do with the person who fit them, and everybody who's fit by the same person kind of has the same style of fit. But that's not true with you guys at all. Is that why is that? I'm curious.
I had my position for so many years. I went through wind tunnel earlier this year just to have some kind of feedback, but I made really minor changes, like barely anything at all. Slightly more angle in the arms, but yeah, like 5 degrees, I think.
Okay.
So my position has been like a small evolution since 2016 on a time trial bike, but that's kind of my natural position, and I haven't done too much to really try something like out of the ordinary. I just hit how I'm comfortable, while Kristian, he is more he has moved around a lot.
I think also we like Olav isn't just looking at how it looks like if you just look at the kind of the aesthetic of the bike rider, and you just want to everyone look like the same as maybe a standardized bike fit does. He looks like at all the numbers, and then he can see like that my lungs is working in a different way than if I can get a little bit taller up in the front rather than being in the same position as Gustav. So it's about not just looking again at the CDA, and also I have a different body type, I guess, kind of more bulky chest. So I also need to get a little bit higher up, because if not, my legs goes into my stomach.
Right. Yeah. Have to work around that. Okay.
And I need to be able to fill my lungs properly. So it's about looking at more data than just the aerodynamic and the look.
Yeah, and the look, which I think it does drive a lot of fit still. So I've got just a question more around the two of you, and that's that you're both from Bergen. You both grew up and started racing there, but you're in a very individual sport, and yet you've kind of come through this working as a team, and it seems to have lifted both of you. You're both really at the top of the game right now. How did that happen? How did you not become just sort of competitors living in the same area, but in fact two good teammates?
Yeah, so we are obviously competitors as well, but having the same coach, the same general training program, the same partner with you, Body Rocket, and we have basically so many things in common, and we see the benefit for both of us training together. But we're still not afraid of having like our own individual like approach. Today we had kind of like the same program, a bike session and a run. So on the bike we went our separate ways, but then came together and did a run together. So we both try to use each other where it's benefiting our team, and then we do the separate things when we feel like that is the best. So I think we are really good in that sense, and not just training together because we're supposed to be training together all the time, but actually using both of us to our benefits.
And I guess it's easier when you have like the best and the second best guy in the world kind of sharing data. We can learn from the best, or learn from each other. So in places where he's maybe finding some marginal gains and he's telling me, then I'm also sharing with him when I'm finding some places that I think we can improve. So the whole training program gets better, and
twice the data.
Yep.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
It's just
No,
maximizing.
I see the benefits. I'm just good on both of you for not squirreling away those secrets in the last few weeks before a big competition.
Earlier this year, Olav made me take away all my data from Strava, so we didn't share our secret information with the rest of the world. I was a bit bummed because I liked having like the openness, but now, yeah, more secretive, but still open with Kristian and Olav with my data.
Yeah. Great. Okay. So we've run over a little bit here, so I want to just move into questions. Give me a second to read through some of these here. We'll go with this. So Kristian, your bike has caused a lot of controversy. Do you have data around its aerodynamic advantage, and what exactly does that look like in comparison to your previous bike?
I think when we were in the wind tunnel, so we only, that's like where we tested the two bikes, and it was a tiny bit faster, like just in the wind tunnel. I think I haven't looked at the data myself, but what I really like with the new KDX bike is that it's designed just for triathlon. So it's with the hydration system, everything integrated. It's kind of as race ready. It's better, and also it's easy to stay on top of the nutrition.
Cool. Yeah. How did that work out for you? Because obviously you've had a chance to use it now. Did it follow through in that promise?
Yeah, I would say World Championship win on the bike's debut. So it worked well in St. George with the hydration, and hopefully it will work as well in Hawaii in a few months time. So, but there again, it's not just about making a bike that is super aerodynamic, like without the rider. You have to look at it with the rider, and also in the
without all the hydration and food and everything.
Yeah, and then being able to stay on top of your nutrition as you're riding and staying aero. So I think that's a place where the KDX bike is really good, and also having everything integrated there.
And the fit, moving around everything. So I actually don't have it myself.
Yeah.
But, yeah, just to see the possibilities to have the angles like native on the bike, and have a huge margin of position on the seat. That's also quite good to have native. I know some bikes, you have to buy a new seat post to move it to the UCI legal position. And to me, that's mind blowing to not have it like integrated on the bike. So I think that's like one of the things that makes it a faster bike in general, to have the perfect fit for you. Yeah,
that's a really good point, and something, you know, a lot of these super bikes, it takes you half an hour to tweak your aero bar position slightly. And when you're looking at that, aerodynamics is sort of 80% of it is your body. Not having a bike that's super adjustable kind of takes away the ability to work on the things that are most important. So yeah, I think that's a great philosophy for them, and a really interesting bike. So. Right. So if you had a tool that would contest numerous positions in training rides, would you do so?
If we had a tool that can test numerous positions on a training ride?
Yes. So I think
I would, because I'm always feeling that I'm not in a position that I want to. So this is like the saddle position is something like, should I go higher? No, I should go further back. No, forward. So I'm always kind of looking for that ideal feeling. So if I had some kind of numbers to just tell me, okay, this is how you should sit, and like for my training rides, it would maybe be easier to just feel like, okay, I'm sitting correctly now.
I think what I would like is to have like an electric elevator on my handlebar, or like the because I guess depending on the wind condition, you want to change your position a bit. So to have the body rocket together with like an automation elevator for the handlebar, and always like try to trick you into the fastest position. And if it's going slow, you can kind of rise it more to have more power. That would be nice. I don't think I need like a dropper post for the downhills, but have some kind of automatic movement for the handlebar would be like next level. Maybe I should tell that out loud. Maybe that should be our secret, but yeah.
Yeah, well, it's out in the public now. You hit on a really interesting thing, though. I mean, I think there's certainly some validity to having different positions, and I don't think it's out of the question that we'll find that once we've been able to map athletes' aerodynamics across a range of wind angles and conditions, that we will be saying that you have a different position that you may want to adopt when you hit a crosswind section, and you will want to shift back again when you hit a headwind section. And we should be able to also say this is when you should get out of your bars on a climb, and you know, and help with pacing strategies and stuff like that as well. So I think there's a lot to be said there. But the automated bits and the dropper posts, I don't know how the federations are going to see those, but we'll.
Ironman is legal, everything, you know. Ironman has no rules. It's okay.
Well, there you go. For the inventors out there, that's a clue on a product that Gustav will be first to use. So yeah, I guess if I can just, there's a question here about breaking new records. I'm going to kind of twist the question a little bit. Kristian, you did the sub-7 this year, obviously sort of a one-off event that was, you know, it was quite neat and a great event for the sport, I think, in general. Do either one of you have interesting things on the horizon, or things that you would like to take on next year that would sort of push the boundaries?
For now on, I think I have my schedule fully planned, because I go for Hawaii, and then after that I try to go back again to short distance and Paris. So I don't think it's time for any kind of long distance fun in between there. But maybe after Paris, we can see if it's possible to go super fast, maybe on my own.
Right, sub-7 on your own. Why not?
No, why not? Ideal wind conditions, and yeah, we will see. Maybe
Gustav, will you be the one going head to head on that one?
I think the challenge going back to Olympic distance after a year of Ironman training, that's big enough at the moment. So I don't think we want to make it even harder on ourselves to do something more in between. So for now, I think no, but still kind of young, 26 now. So have some more years to try, but
also we want to leave Kona this year with the fastest time ever. So it's not a sub something, but it's more like as a statement that we could nail this course first time trying.
We can beat record breakers.
A record that will stand for a long time.
Yeah,
until next time.
At least until next time. Yeah. Well, and we hope to help you on that journey, and looking forward to working with you over the next handful of months in preparation for Ironman, and onward from there.
Super. Thank you.
Great. Thanks for your time today, guys. And,
thank you.
Yeah, we will see you soon. Thanks to everyone for joining.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.